Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Animal Kingdom Season 6, Episode 13. We have made it to the series finale. We have answers. We have some closure. We have a lot of blood. This was, I think, as chaotic and deadly a finale as we all anticipated.
Listen, series finales are extremely
Yeah.
hard. Like, not everyone's going to be happy with this finale. And while there were things that happened that I was like, oh man, I really wish that didn't happen, or I
Yeah.
wish so and so made it out alive. This finale was really, really good. Like, I was really satisfied with this finale and the way that they told this story and did the reveals and the deaths. I mean, it all made perfect sense.
That, I think, is like the key word here. It made perfect sense. They didn't put anybody in a position where they acted out of character. They didn't introduce like some big epic show changing twist at the last second that would have made us all question everything that happened before. Yes, some people died, but some people lived. There's an opportunity to at least think about a potential, I don't know if happy is the right word, but a content future for some of these people.
Nobody seemed happy or content. I don't know. We'll talk about all that.
Well, before we go further, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I know Animal Kingdom is ending, but there is so much content coming over these next several weeks. We have Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, House of the Dragon has just started up. There's so much more throughout the fall.
Yeah, there's Andor's coming up, and NCIS is back. There's all kinds of stuff coming up. Yellowstone later on. So
Yeah.
hit that subscribe button. Follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV.
Okay. The moment of this finale for me, and this is really the how are you not recognized enough for your work, is that performance by Sean as Pope in that scene with him and Jay. Like, that was just devastating.
Jay as well. Like, listen, I know that we've given his character a lot of crap,
Yeah.
but the actor is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That scene with Penny where he was like, okay, everything is good now. I've gotten away with it. We're going to, go away together. I've got the money. And she's starting to put some pieces together where she's just like, okay, listen, I'm okay with some of this stuff, but I was never going to be okay with all of this stuff. And now I feel like I just can't come with you. And you saw his heartbreak. Like, he actually really cared. I wasn't sure if he did or he was just using her so that he could get that money transfer to happen. But you could see that he really thought there was going to be a future there. And the minute that she was like, I cannot come with you, I was like, oh God, she's going to die. She's going to have to die. She knows too much. And seeing him take the drugs and killing her that way, sort of mirroring back to when we first met him, that he was the person who gave his mom the last dose that made her overdose with the drugs, and him just like sobbing beside her the way that he was. Oh my God, it was so good.
It was heart-wrenching. It's a full circle moment, I think, of the worst possible kind. And I think really with Jay, he's somebody who I think because he's had to spend most of his life to some extent, like taking care of people, like he had to take care of Julia, like he's been in some ways taking care of his uncles and planning all of this sort of stuff. I think he has it in his head that I have to do everything. I have to be the one who sort of runs the show. And I think his big, pitfall with Penny in particular is just that, like, he never really lets her in. And some of it is understandable that he knows that she's not going to approve of a lot of the things that he's doing. But, there was going to be a point that it ended like this because, no person is ever going to be okay with somebody just being like, I'm going to make all the decisions for us. I'm going to do this. You're just going to trust me. And like, eventually that is all going to work out. I think you said it. I think he did care about her. I think he may have cared about her more than he even thought that he would care about her, because I think he kind of thought all of this was going to work, and he just sort of lured himself into this position where he was going to have to get hurt at the end.
Let's talk about that end just for a second. Like, we're going to get to the heist and the
Yeah.
fight with Pope and all of that, but that last ending scene with Jay,
Yeah.
sitting in all his money, the
Yeah.
girls in the pool, people, serving him drinks, he's in a beautiful place. Was there anybody else out there that was kind of like, I'm waiting for Darren to just roll up behind him and be like, hello? I was just like, is that going to happen? Because Jay was sitting there, even with all the money and the girls and the service and the house, whatever. He looked really miserable, where it was
Yeah.
kind of this idea of like, okay, he has everything, but he still has nothing. He doesn't have Penny. He doesn't have his mom. His family is gone except for Darren. Like, everybody's dead. Like, he's just alone on a pile of money, which isn't going to give him any happiness. There was no joy for him either.
No, I think there's maybe a chance years down the road and with some therapy that maybe Jay can sort of sort some things out. Maybe he can find his way, but no, in that moment, he's not happy. Like, money doesn't buy happiness. I think he
No.
probably also thought that getting vengeance would sort of like clear some of the hole that was in his heart. And I don't think it doesn't fully work that way. Even on the other side of it, you're like, oh, that actually didn't make me feel better at all.
No, and I think part of it is just this realization later where he's like, oh, I have no family now. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a really relatable question. You guys can let me know if you relate to it too. That sort of this idea of, is it better to have kind of crappy family that cares about you, or like
Yeah.
no family and then, there's nothing? Because by the end of this, like, I understand that when Jay first got there and he was like, this family doesn't care about me whatsoever. I know that it started in a place where his uncles treated him like crap, and Smurf did what she did to Julia, which left Jay in this sort of situation where his family is like a bunch of really bad people that are doing bad things to him. I think we've all kind of glossed over, forgotten even what happened with Nikki and Craig, like that whole creep show that was going on, all these things that they did to him. But we're at this point now that they really trust him. They really respect Jay. They had been putting into Jay, and really, like, things had turned a corner. They did build family. Even the season finale from last season with Pope and that whole Pope and Jay sort of scene together near the end, there was a real like turning point with the uncles and Jay, where Jay was finally like, you are part of this family. We trust you. We care about you. This is all part of it. But Jay just never really turned the corner himself.
And I think he had some misplaced anger, and I think I understand a lot of it, but it's also like he's dealing
Not
here.
misplaced. He's mad, and he deserves to be mad.
He deserves to be mad, but Pope was entirely controlled by Smurf. Like, Pope didn't have that much of a mind of his own at the time, and Darren and Craig, they were really, really young, and like, ultimately we saw Jay kill Smurf. We saw that moment happen, but it's just like now holding all this anger towards everybody else. Like, Pope didn't want anything bad to happen to Julia. Like, he cared about Julia, and I know there was that powerful scene and he harbors a lot of guilt, but it's just sort of like, getting vengeance on Pope for all of this. I don't know what it's gonna do other than make Pope beat himself up more.
Yeah, this has always been kind of the issue with the Cody boys in general, is communication. There is no sharing of really anything with these guys. That's the way that they've been brought up. It's their makeup. Guys in general don't always like to share everything.
Yeah.
Some girls too don't like to share everything. But anyways, it's a situation where that conversation about what happened to Julia and Pope's role in it and his own guilt in this, I mean, that could have. I mean, Jay was really angry, so it's hard to know. But I mean, some of that could have had some understanding to be like, listen, this is what happened in the past. Julia came back to the house.
Yeah.
She was an addict. She was on drugs, and she was pregnant, and, robbing Smurf's house again. And then there was this moment that I kept wanting to step out from under Smurf to be able to help Julia, but I just couldn't do it. Like, this whole thing for Pope is just communication for him. He tried multiple times throughout his life to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
He tried through religion. He wanted to try to talk to a therapist. He wanted to try to talk to somebody. He even tried it sometimes to try to talk to Julia. He just never was allowed to actually get there. Even everything with Amy, it's all been about, if Pope had not had Smurf closing the door
Yeah.
on him, where he was just like, I need to talk to somebody. I need help with somebody. I'm getting close to this person. Maybe they can help me. And her just pulling him back and being like, once you're out, you're out. That whole scene in the car, man. Oh my God. And that's why it's really hard to just be like, oh, Pope's just a bad guy. He's just a bad guy. Well, no, he's not just a bad guy. He's a guy who was going through a lot of abuse and a lot of controlling, and he had no outlet to be able to kind of see another side. Julia tried to show him another side, to be like, you're not all bad. But like, when you've got everyone else being like, no, you're okay, this is the way it is, and you just feel bad all the time, it's hard to hear that one lone voice.
This is a big nature versus nurture discussion with like this show as a whole. It's like, could all of these Cody boys' lives have turned out differently if they weren't brought up in this environment? Could everybody have found some element of happiness? Like, I think there's a lot of chaotic energy that's naturally within all of them. And of course, I mean, they all commit like a number of significant crimes within this finale. Don't get me wrong, but it is like, how different could things have been for them?
Yeah, so the beginning of this, we got right into the big heist, the last big heist, breaking Pope out. And then they very quickly realize that Jay is screwing them.
Yes.
They're just like, right away, he's not there. He's not really answering his phone. You got Craig and Darren getting Pope out. They're all just like, where is he? Like, what is going on? They get to the place where it's like, oh, all their stuff is going to be stashed for them to get out of there. We all know that Jay went there and did something. There was a lot of questions about that in this last episode, where people were like, what exactly did he do? He took everything. That's where we are. So they got there and they're like, oh, none of our stuff is here. Jay's missing. And he's the person who's got, the actual tracker app that he's following Pope around, where they were all like, oh no, we're all in huge trouble.
This was all set up really well, and I'm glad that they, TNT, I know HBO Max is just ready to destroy, not HBO Max, but their parent company, they're just ready to destroy everything that is on TNT, TBS, everywhere else. I'm glad they at least gave them more time to sort of dive into all of this and give us an episode where we could really process all of that and actually sort of see it play out, rather than jamming all of this into like 42 minutes without commercials or anything else.
Yeah, we got a supersized episode. It was much longer than it normally is. So we actually got some extra time to really dive into this, and it paid off, completely paid off. We had, of course, the three brothers in the house being like, how are we going to get away? There's this one bike in the back and maybe two of us, but not all of us. And Pope being like, give me your guns. He just took everybody's guns. It's like, you guys get on that bike and you go. And sort of that last time that they were really going to see him. Oh my God. Like, I'm so invested in these guys, watching them go, Pope go out and be the distraction, and he gets shot. And it's just like, I was like, is this the moment that he's going to die? Because I feel like he's not going to get out of this episode alive.
No, and he didn't.
And he didn't. So here's the one thing. Okay, so Pope ends up going back to the Cody house, and I was like, all right. No. Pope is a very smart guy. He's done so many jobs for so many decades. Going back to the house, it seems so out of character. Like, of all the places you're going to go, you are not going to go back there. And I found it also a bit unbelievable that cops weren't stationed at the house. Like, all around the house, the front, the back, the wherever, that they were going to be like, okay, Jay's told us that his uncle's not going to be here, but who knows what he's telling, if that's the truth or not. They're going to have people posted at the house. So when Pope came back, I was just like, no.
Well, Yeah, you guys got to have at least like one or two officers, even if you don't have the full fleet there. Just put somebody. Oceanside PD is big enough to at least do that. Like, yeah, that part of it was a problem. I mean, I know that they were trying to just sort of find a way to give us this scene between Jay and Pope, but I'm sure you could have found another way to make that happen. I mean, I think Pope's death here was really powerful and interesting. Him saving Jay despite everything that Jay just did to him, to his family, because I think he sees this as his own way for redemption for what happened to Julia. He's giving her son a chance. Like, there is a lot of beauty in that, as hard and just painful as it was to see Pope die.
Yeah, that's why Pope has always been my favorite character on the show. He's very complicated. Yes,
Yeah.
he's a hard guy. He's a tough guy. He's also a caring guy who has a softer side to him. He's an emotional guy who carries a lot on his shoulders. And he's not just an inherently bad dude.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was more powerful that moment that he did pull Jay out of the pool and was like, okay, you know what? Just go. And then burn that house to the ground and
Yeah.
died in it. Oh my God.
Since we're already on the subject now of just like terrible, painful deaths, Craig was never my favorite person in the Cody Boys. Like, I'll say that from the start, but the way that he went with him realizing he wasn't going to make it and Darren just pulling him out so he could see the ocean one last time and telling Craig that, he will look after Nick as though he's his own son.
Oh my God, I'm going to start crying. My God.
It was such a well-written, well-acted scene, and it was so painful to watch.
Oh, it was beautifully done. Those two brothers, they've been through it. I mean, they're always fighting. They'd been fighting since they were kids. But they both truly loved the ocean, and they did care about each other deeply. They're willing to die for each other.
Yeah.
And they end up on the run. They don't have anything. They hold up a convenience store. Craig gets shot in a way that he's like, I know I'm not going to make it to where you're taking me, so just stop. And they do, and he has him looking at the ocean. He's hugging him, and oh my God, it was so well done. This series finale was excellent all the way through.
It was really good. Like, the big question, this is the biggest question I have coming out of it. It's just like, is Darren with Adrian? Like, what happens to Darren? We got an end game for Jay. We saw where Jay ended up, but it's just in my heart, and I don't know why they didn't give us this. I don't know, maybe the actor who plays Adrian wasn't available or whatever else, but it's just like, I wanted to see Darren and Adrian reunite, to at least think there was some element of a future there.
I think it's just that this is a story of a tragic family that had an abusive mother who gave them all tragic ends. And I think seeing any of them actually have a happy ending was never really in the cards. Like, even we saw with Jay, where he was like, oh, I got girls, I got money, I got a beautiful place that I'm staying at. But you could see he was not happy. Nothing ended up well for anybody. Nobody gets a happy ending on this show. And, that's okay. Not every story has to have a happy ending. Sometimes this is the lesson, and you come out of tragedy, and sometimes you end in tragedy as well, and things just don't work out for you. Yeah, I like to think that he's with Adrian somewhere, and I'm okay with that, where in my mind I can make it up to be whatever I want.
Yeah, I think the realistic possibility is just that he gets found and he's just in prison forever. But you know what?
Yes, he doesn't have any of his stuff, like all the money and the passports and everything that was going to get him out of this country is gone. So what happens to him?
You're with Adrian. That is the story I will believe until the end of time. But we have made it to the end of Animal Kingdom. This has been a painful, emotional ride.
Yeah, it has. And I've seen some of your comments of people asking, could there be a spin-off? Could we see something with, young Smurf and more on that? Or maybe Darren off with Adrian, doing other things. And unless it's going to another network, because TNT is burning off all their scripted stuff, we're not going to see anything else. It's really like this, and what else do they have left? Snowpiercer to
Yeah.
burn off. Like, there's nothing else
No.
coming.
I think this is it. Like, it would be fun, obviously, to see more of it. But you know what? We got a proper series finale.
Yes, after the series finale, I wanted a spinoff for a long time, but
Yeah.
this was such a good ending that I'm satisfied. I can walk away from this story.
Well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know, we will have all sorts of other coverage coming on other shows, even if there is no Animal Kingdom spinoff. But thank you guys for watching with us and discussing the show, and we'll see you here next time.